And I'm Robin Harris. And I'm just going to go over some guidelines for making this meeting run smoothly on this Zoom platform. As Nick said and the automated lady said, this meeting is being recorded for the record and also to be posted on YouTube. So please keep your microphones muted unless our facilitator, Doreen has invited you to speak. Your microphone can be muted or unmuted with the button that looks like a microphone and says mute or unmute. Does anybody need help with that? Okay. So next, just make sure that your camera is positioned so that we can see your smiling face. Also, please try to limit distractions that we see on your video feed, like moving around or eating your dinner. You're welcome to turn off your camera if you need to using the start/stop video button. So I may be helping keep the meeting going by muting you or turning off the camera so that we can limit the distractions. And you can, of course, turn them back on as you need to participate in the meeting. Last but not least, when you have questions, you can raise your hand on video like this and we'll see you. You can also raise your hand using, letting me go back, using your, sorry.
Let's see it.
Am I on? Where am I? I'm sorry. I have too many things open here. I've lost you guys. Oh, there you are. Sorry about that. Well, this is no way to start a meeting. You can use the button down below where it says reactions and raise your hand like that. And you can also type in the chat and send a question like that. Let's see, what else is there? I'll be keeping track, several of us will be keeping track of who has questions and I will prompt the speaker as needed. So with that out of the way, I'm pleased to introduce our facilitator of this meeting, Doreen Liberto.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this really exciting program that you're working on. I've lived in San Luis Obispo County since 1987 and done a variety of work, including community development director in Arroyo Grande. So I know the South County very well. I was a county planning commissioner for 6.5 years. I have my own company and doing land use, environmental, and something called pre-litigation dispute resolution and facilitation also. And so I'm excited to be part of this. Oceano certainly is a gem. It always has been a very special spot in California. What I'd like to do is ask Robin to help me because we'd like everybody to introduce yourselves. Since we have so many people, what we will be doing is basically asking you to introduce your name, the association that you are with, or the organization. And if you could use one word to describe your vision for Oceano, could you give that to us, please? We'd like to have one word, and we're going to come back with all of those words next meeting. So Robin can help whoever wants to basically introduce themselves first and their organization, and then one word for the future of Oceano. So Robin, maybe you can, let's see, who do we want to start? Charles, would you like to start by introducing yourself and your association, and then one word? You're muted. I'm sorry. We need to unmute you.
My name is Charles Varney. I've lived in Oceano for a little over 20 years. I am here representing the Oceano Advisory Council. I'm vice chair of the council, and my one word is beach.
Okay, great. Okay. Do we have somebody else that would like to speak up?
I'll introduce myself, Nick Alter. I'm the principal founder and chair of the OEDC, the Economic Development Council. And I live in Arroyo Grande, but I got involved 3 years ago with the Oceano Beach Community Association, which invited me in as a community development advisor. And that's how this took hold. My one word would be destination.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Who do we have next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Ernst. I'm a 20-year resident homeowner in Oceano, and I've worked as an independent video production specialist for 20 years. Before that, I worked in news for 10 years. So I've been doing a lot with tourism and nonprofits and small businesses. I am representing, I guess today, People for the Dunes, which is an informational and action committee formed out of the Dunes Alliance, which was 12 organizations dedicated to the safe and sustainable beach and dunes. And my word is healthy.
Healthy. Great. Thank you. Okay, who's next? Who would like to introduce yourself next? Yes.
So my name is Eva Ulls. I was the executive director of the County Historical Society. I've also worked with the South County Historical Society. I'm a member of Halcyon, which is very close to Oceano. I live in San Luis Obispo now, and I am no longer a museum professional. I am about 2/3 of the way through law school to become an environmental attorney. And the word that I would like to use to describe a vision for Oceano is heritage.
Okay, great. All right, who would like to go next? And Robin, maybe you can help me because I cannot, for some reason, see everybody up above. So maybe you can help me or ask somebody to participate. Robin, if you could do that.
Sure.
Okay, is that Maureen? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
You want me to go?
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Mari Tambora. I was born and raised there on the Central Coast, born in Arroyo Grande Hospital, actually. I live in Colorado, but I am a licensed real estate agent in both Colorado and California. And we own a couple of properties right there in Oceano. And my one word, possibilities.
Okay. All right. All right. I know. Next, let's see.
So let's see, we have David Duke.
Okay, David.
Hi, my name is David Duke. I'm a emergency medicine physician. I live in Arroyo Grande, and actually right now I'm looking at Oceano and the airport. And I used to hang on my airplane there. And I also, as an emergency physician, have sent patients in and out of that airport for emergencies. And what else did I want to say? I am a member of the Friends of Oceano Airport as well. And I think that my word, or maybe it's a hyphenated phrase, would be well-rounded.
Well-rounded. Okay. Very good. Okay.
Let's see, we have Alexandria Strachan. Sorry if I'm not saying that right.
No problem. It's a tough one. Hi, I'm Alexandria Strachan. So I am the general manager here at Oceano Inn. My parents currently own Oceano and I run it for them. Before I stepped into this position, I was a K through 12 educator. So I have my master's in science and education. I'm excited about this study. I think it's a little different than when I was originally depicting when I briefly kind of discussed it with Nick Alter. And my one word that I would would be inclusive.
Inclusive. Very good.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Let's see, how about Eileen Villa?
Yes, I couldn't find the hand. Still can't find it. So I was raising my hand. My name is, it's gone from my bottom of the screen. My name is Aline Villa, and I am a lifelong resident here of Oceano. Also, I am the chair of the Oceano Advisory Council and also on the OCSD as a director, Oceano Community Service District. I want to see Oceano progress and be all it can be. It's a diamond in the rough, and we need to pick it up and shine it and make it glow through all, not just San Luis Obispo, but California. The one word that I would use to describe Oceano for my vision of it, it's already beautiful, so I would have to say united, unido. We need participation from the Latinos, and we need everybody to get along and love Oceano and make it all it can be.
Okay, good. Okay.
Jim Richardson. See, I don't see a mute. Oh, there you are.
There I am. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Jim Richardson. I am the owner of a nationwide advertising agency. I'm a communication specialist and also proud to support the digital effort of the OEDC, thanks to my friend Nick. And I love Oceano. My first experience was skydiving out of the Oceano airport, and I live in Nipomo, and I agree with the earlier comment that my one word would be also possibilities.
Possibilities. Okay.
Okay. And then I have, let's see, Julianne. Is that right? Julianne Walker?
It's Jolene, actually.
Jolene, thank you.
No worries. I'm Jolene Walker. I am the recently appointed assistant property manager at Pacific Dunes RV Resort in Oceano. I'm also an Oceano resident for the last, I want to say 17 years now. I'm a transplant from Northern California. My one word for describing my vision for Oceano is caring.
Excellent. Very good. Okay. And I believe we have a few other people that would like to have you introduce yourself. Robin, do you have a list of who else?
Let's see, somebody just came in.
Again, I can't see everybody, unfortunately.
So there, let's see, Maria Pile. Maria, are you able to unmute yourself? And
Can I interrupt? Maria messaged me that she's trying to get in. So is she in?
She is in.
Okay.
Okay. I just asked her to unmute. Let's see if that works. Okay. Okay, and I believe we had Bonnie who had her hand raised. Bonnie, are you there? Did you have your hand raised?
I already spoke.
Okay, all right, your hand is raised. That's why I thought maybe it's something else. Okay.
María, ¿me puedes escuchar? ¿Necesitas?
Sí, aquí ya.
Ok, ¿puedes introducirte? Decir quién eres.
Sí. Hola, mi nombre es María Patiño. Vivo aquí en Oceano por ya 24 años y soy promotora también del Condado de San Luis Obispo.
Okay, her name is Maria Patiño. She is part of the Promotoras Organization Collaborative of San Luis Obispo. She's lived here in Oceano, I think she said 24 years. I've known her ever since she's been here in Oceano. She's very respected in our community. Gracias por venir, María.
I guess I can go. I'm Robin Harris. I live in the community of Tierra Nueva co-housing in Oceano. And I have had the good fortune to serve on the Oceano Advisory Council and with the Oceano Beach Community Association, and I'm grateful to be part of this as well. And I immediately thought of possibilities as well. So I'm copying you.
Okay. Did we get everybody? Is there anybody who did not?
Oh,
who did not
just Doreen and Kelly. Those are the only others.
Okay. I introduced myself earlier. Kelly?
Yes.
Yes, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. So my name's Kelly Main, and I'm an associate professor at Cal Poly in the City and Regional Planning Program. I'm the instructor for the class or studio that's going to create this plan that we're here going to be discussing. I was a practicing planner for many years, for 14 years down in Southern California, before I went back to school to get my PhD and joined the ranks of academia, which I've been in for quite some time as well now. So I guess my one word would be diverse.
Okay, great. So I think we covered, everybody's introduced themselves. Again, if not, please raise your hand. As we get more people next week that may not be involved this week, we will do the introductions then also. One of the things I'd like to do is what my responsibility will be as part of these meetings, and then Nick can pick up from there. Basically, I'll be doing the meeting facilitations to help the meeting flow, to make sure it runs smoothly, cover the main agenda items, encourage participation, and keeping time. The important thing sometimes, please, as I encourage people to push forward with making decisions, I hope I don't come across really very forceful, but it's kind of a way to gently try and get people to nudge ahead. We do have 1 hour. We need to keep on our time schedule. We're trying to do that. But that's basically what my task will be as part of these meetings, facilitating that. So with that, I think, Nick, you're going to talk a little bit about the role and goals and nature and scope of work. You're muted.
Thanks, Doreen. What I'd like to do is turn to the website and go from there to talk about the OEDC, its goals, and the nature and scope of the kinds of things that we're doing. I'd also like to acknowledge the contribution from Jim Richardson, who is not only on our our advisory board, but he is really the one responsible for this website. He has contributed to it, and his webmaster is the one who has constructed it. So I want to acknowledge that to one and all. So turning to the website, Robin, could you pull that up and go, to the home page? Thank you. I hope everybody has had a chance to look at the website, and will dig in and take a deep dive in it, because it's full of, it's a wealth of information, and it's all factual. And that's important. I mention that because one of the things that's important to us all right now is to really be aware of much of the information that's in the community right now that is somewhat off the mark. And it's extremely important to all of us that what we are doing and what we have been doing and where we're heading and so on is made clear to everybody. And in that connection, the website is open, and we want everybody to have access to all of the information and not to in any way interfere with or hold back. There's nothing secretive about anything. One of the concerns I think that a lot of people have when one of the fears that I think that has come up in connection with the disinformation that's going on has to do with the fact that there's change in the offing here, and there are people who are fearful of change, fearful of how it might affect their interests, their particular interests, the status quo. And I think that may be one of the biggest challenges that we face. So with that, the first goal, the council's goal is to obtain county approval of a plan. And I want to emphasize that when I talk about a plan here, I'm not talking about a plan from the OEDC. I'm talking about a county plan, a plan from the county, by the county, but a plan that is based on the land use preferences of the residents of Oceano, what they have in mind as a vision. And also based on the regional economic potential that Oceano presents. So Oceano, yes, presents an opportunity for local economic growth, but it also represents something potentially very significant for the county as well. So down to nature and scope, if you can scroll down there, Robin, for me, to the nature and scope of work. The council's work is exploratory, not prescriptive, and I can't emphasize this strongly enough. What we're doing really is an inquiry. It's a long-term inquiry. It sees as we see as our role to assess possibilities. That word has come up 3 times, I think, already, the one word, to assess possibilities for Oceano's equitable economic development without prescribing solutions or taking positions on issues. So as I mentioned earlier, it is not the role of the OEDC to promote any particular plans or to take positions on issues. It is our role really to explore and assess and raise them as choices, really, preferences to the community to find out what the community really is aspiring for. Over the years, Oceano's beachfront and other land elements have been used to serve the interests of others first, with consequential adverse impacts on community residents. And I think there are any number of examples you can point to where the land has been used really in the interest of some other interest that is other than serving the highest, the highest and best use of the community and of the people who live there. So the focus always must be, in our minds, what is best in terms of land use for the community. The council's work focuses on determining what Oceano residents deem to be the highest and best use of their land. With that, Robin, let us go to the About Us page and to the guiding principles. So in future meetings, the next 4 meetings, they will all be with the graduate students that in Kelly's planning studio. And they will be presenting to us at these meetings. And they will be wanting to hear back from us, from you, all of you, as to what they are finding out and what they, whatever choices they may have, they will be presenting. And it's important for all of us as well as them to be guided by these 5 principles. These are really to us more or less the Bible. The first one, we are guided by our mission and work collaboratively with others who find common cause with us. When I was in business, we always used to talk about relationship building and the 3 C's in terms of the level of relationship that we're dealing with: competitive, cooperative, and collaborative. And the object was always to elevate the level of relationship to the collaborative level. And that is an important principle that we always want to be mindful of, to bringing everybody to the table in this discussion. We want no one to be left out of this discussion, regardless of their views. Second guiding principle, our mission is as an inquiry open to all feasible pathways to the kind of future Oceano envisions for itself. So there are no sacred cows. There are no areas in connection with the way land is presently being used that we don't want to explore and question, always questioning. Is this land now being used in a way that serves the community of Oceano as well as the county? There are always going to be important considerations given to the region, and not just to Oceano, but first and foremost, the people of Oceano. The third principle, we explore land use choices for redevelopment that are feasible and that faithfully reflect what residents say they want. Always we're looking at what's doable. And there are many challenges, we know that, in connection with any kind of options for redevelopment, economic development. And we're looking at everything in a way that understands that as we move forward, we want to be sure that we see ways in which to make things happen. The fourth principle, we explore design choices that reflect Oceano's cultural diversity, historical heritage, and both of those words were used, interestingly, as first choices for envisioning the future by people here. Diversity and heritage, an essential character in small town village. People in Oceano that I've engaged with always feel very strongly about wanting to retain the character of the community that is essential to whatever that future may be. And finally, the fifth guiding principle, we explore economic choices that stimulate the local economy, create jobs and affordable housing for Oceano residents, and optimize financial returns to the county. Really, this is one of the most important principles in terms of bringing all the pieces together. The initial community meetings that we had in 2018, there was a series of 4 community workshops led by Cal Poly community and regional planning students. And in those 4 community meetings, the residents who participated identified jobs, housing, affordable housing, and improved living conditions as their priorities. They wanted to stimulate business, and they said in terms of a growth path, they wanted the most aggressive, the maximum, they picked the maximum option possible for growing the community. And so there's strong interest, we know, among a few anyway, in terms of stimulating economic growth in the community. The question now going forward with this study, the land use preference study ahead, really is, does the larger community really embrace these same interests and goals? And that's what we're really trying to find out. And in that vein, what we're hoping for in connection with reaching out to the community is responses from at least 10% of the households in Oceano. So it's extremely important that we are effective in the engagement effort with the students to garner that much participation by the area residents. And with that, Doreen, I turn it back to you.
Great, thank you. Nick, we have a couple of questions. One person was asking who participated on the community design preference?
The community design preferences are to be determined by area residents in the upcoming the design preferences. That's down the road. That's really future.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt real quickly, Mr. Alter. No, my question was specifically targeted at the graph that you shared, because it shows in there that people have selected, because it posed a question and then people selected what they wanted. So my question was, who were those people that were selecting?
Alex, I still am not clear about.
No problem. Let me rephrase. If you can go ahead and scroll up really quick. Thank you. Just scroll up. I think you're scrolling down.
Yeah, the other way, Robin. Yeah.
Going back up. Okay, and then go down just a little bit. So you showed a chart and it had like 4 different boxes, and then there you can see where people selected. It asked a question, what kind of community, I can't remember what the main question was there, but there was a question. And I just would like to know who was the audience, who was making the choices on that graph.
It
She's
was on the
talking about,
Survey.
can I interrupt? She was talking about the study we did in what, 2000? Yes, 2018.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I just wanted to, so that was that done at Cal Poly?
Oh, yes. No,
Yeah.
that was, okay, thank you, Alex. We had a series of community workshops in 2018, 2019 to develop a community plan update for Oceano. And the participants in that study were Oceano residents. And the graduate students at at Cal Poly in the City and Regional Planning Department polled those residents. So in every case, the residents were presented with choices, with options. And the community, those participants in the community were the ones who are responsible for the choices that were made at that time. So what we've done is we've taken the results of that community plan update and moved forward in late 2019 and in 2020 with some concept work, concept development work, and some economic modeling to take what the area residents had suggested to see what it all translated to in terms of potential possibilities in terms of action.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do now with a new study is to go out to the larger community to see how valid that is in a larger sense. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, because it did sound that sounded just a little biased on my end, because you said that they were called upon, or they were kind of invited into Cal Poly. So or they were not. Okay.
No. This all took place in Oceano, and in fact, the meetings were held at the train depot.
Okay. And it was mixed. It was everybody, correct? It was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick, you're saying it was community-wide. The survey was community-wide in Oceano. Is that correct?
Well, all were invited. We reached out as broadly as we could, but even so, it was a very small number that turned out. And that's why it's so important that we move forward now with this more expansive effort, because we really want to understand what to the extent possible, what the community at large has in mind in terms of land use preferences. So yes, we have some ideas from the limited number of people who turned out in 2018. So the question, so we ended up with a bunch of hypotheses that we really need to set out to find whether or not these are valid. Okay.
There was another question about defining the area of the land that was being referred to, and I suspect that Kelly can probably address that later. I imagine that's the area that is being studied.
We did a land use inventory at the time in the beginning of that study, the full extent of Oceano, to make some determinations of how much land was available for redevelopment, that sort of thing, and how much was allocated to one. There were 3% of the land is vacant, for example. 14% of the land is county owned. And the question always is, in our minds anyway, given the limited amount of land available for redevelopment and the fact that the county does have so much land, is the land that is being used now by the county serving the interests of the people who live there, and to what extent? And not just the county, there's the beachfront too, getting back to public lands and how that land is being used.
Okay, great.
This is David Duke. Could I ask a question?
Could you mention your name? Who's
I did.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
This is David Duke. I would, a lot of the hypotheses moving forward are based on hypotheses that were developed off of the original survey with a limited number of participants. Could could this group provide that prior survey so we could understand it better?
Absolutely. It's on the website. All of this is on the website, David.
right.
If you go to the page on the website, the planning and development documents page,
Great.
you'll find in there all of the documents, all of the materials that were produced in the 2018-2019 community plan update.
Great. And that includes the questions and options to the.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Everything.
We also have a hand raised, Robin.
That's Eileen. Eileen has her hand
Doreen
raised.
has a question.
Yes, I don't have a question. I want to make some comments in Spanish because I do understand this is going to be, this is recorded, going to be put on YouTube. And I want to make sure that Maria is understanding our guiding principles and that the Latino community understands the guiding principles. I'm going to be as brief as possible on our guiding principles that are very important to the Latino community. María, voy a estar diciendo estos comentarios en español para que la comunidad latina entienda lo que son nuestros principios que nos van a guiar al Consejo Económico de Oceano. Y meramente los principios van a ser inclusividad de toda la comunidad en lo que queremos todos para Oceano. No nomás un grupo, pero todos juntos. Queremos hacer un estudio, mandar hojas, papeletas a cada casa y decirles qué es lo que ustedes quieren, cómo ven Oceano en el futuro, qué es lo que quieren para Oceano. Muchas personas no quieren cambios, pero necesitamos cambios porque el futuro para progreso se ocupa cambio. Vamos a estar explorando aquí, como somos más de 50% latino, que haya viviendas, que las personas de bajos ingresos que gustan quedarse aquí toda su vida para vivir en Oceano, puedan comprar su casa aquí en Oceano. Trabajos nuevos para la gente aquí en Oceano. Esos son los principios que nos van a guiar. Done.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to, if Nick, are you done? If you are, I'm going to go on to the next item. I'll share my screen. We'll do this again. Okay. All right, there we go. Next thing we want to talk about are just some recommended ground rules. And typically in meetings, you have ground rules to help you get through the meeting as efficiently as possible and try and stick to the issues. And again, this is something that everybody, if you have concerns about it, let us know. This is your ground rules. This is something that are dynamic, that next time we can come back, you might say, gee, you know, we disagree with something or we want to add something. So these are just general guide ground rules that are suggested. Basically, show up on time and come prepared. Turn off or mute your cell phone. Have respectful dialogue, no debating. I think what we'd like to do here is have a dialogue and not get into debate with each other. Let everyone participate. Share your unique perspective. Stay on point. Tackle issues and not people. And respect everyone's thinking and value their contribution. Critique ideas and not individuals. So with that, I'll open it up to see if there are any concerns about any of these, or if you'd like to add, or if there are concerns with any of them. And basically, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah. I don't have an issue with the ground rules. My issue kind of deals with the kind of respecting everyone's thinking on my end, because I am a pro-dune family. My family loves the dunes. So in that case, I'm going to come with a different perspective, which I think is going to model some of the most of the community members, you know, in the area as well that I have shared with. Because I'm also a homeowner in Oceano, so I do speak with my people that are around me as well. I was wondering, moving forward, if there would be any way to kind of make it where we kind of can be more open to that idea versus just going right into getting rid of, the off-roading vehicles and just getting rid of the dunes. And if that's not something that this group is going to be a part of, then I respectfully need to bow out.
Yeah, I'm going to turn that over to Kelly because I believe that Cal Poly is open and they want to reflect the community's desires, but I'll let Kelly speak to that.
Sure. Hi. Yeah, I want to assure you that I haven't talked yet about the project and the way we're going to conduct the project, but our approach is open. So one of the dangers of the planning that's gone on previously is that maybe 20 to 30 people for each effort have participated. And so it's really hard to know what the community thinks. In fact, there are probably many communities within this one communities that support the vehicles, communities that don't, et cetera. And I think that is one of the real admirable things about what OEDC wants to do, which is they realize that there may be results that come out of our engagement with a really larger number of the population or community members that may not agree with some of their values either, or what they might want. But that's not the point of this plan. The plan is to find out as much as we can a representative view of different community members, and to make a plan that addresses alternatives in the community, especially if we hear a variety of desires that may conflict with each other or may require sort of different approaches to solving problems and realizing the community's vision.
And that goes in line with sharing your unique perspective. I think that's what we want to hear from your perspective, what's unique. I do have, Charles has raised his hand. Charles?
Thank you. I'm just not sure what the difference between respectful dialogue is when people have, let's say, different points of view and no debating. I was on a debate team in high school, and our debates were always supposed to be civil and respectful, and be based on fact or science or whatever, unless we're just talking about opinions. So if you could just say a little bit about that, and then just a quick comment that I didn't come here to be debating the vehicles on the beach. For me, that's pretty much in the courts, and we don't have, that's not what I'm here for.
Great. Charles, as somebody who taught a class on dialogue and debating, the difference is typically in dialogue, you listen to the other person, you understand what they're saying. And as someone who was in college on a debating team, I know automatically it was that you listen to them, but the intent was to debate their point and come up with a counterpoint.
Okay.
And that's the difference. I think what we're asking is that there be a listening technique and understand where they're coming from.
Okay, I get that. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
great. And then also have something, David Duke has raised an issue. David, did you want to say something?
No, that's fine. I'll just keep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So are there any, does anybody have any concerns about these? And again, we'll come back to them at the meetings. And if you want to change them or massage them, we can always do it at future meetings. But if not, we'll go forward. If we have a consensus on this, if I hear anybody who has a concern, let me know. If not, we'll go forward with Cal Poly's presentation, Kelly. And I haven't heard anything, I haven't seen any hands raised about these, but again, this will be an ongoing dialogue on the ground rules. So Kelly?
Thank you.
I'm going to stop sharing. You're going to share?
No, I'm not going to share.
Okay.
I'm just going to be brief and then take questions if people have them. So The plan that we're putting together, we're calling an action plan, and we are students, second year graduate students at Cal Poly in the City and Regional Planning Program. And the purpose of the plan, the action plan and the students' work is through extensive community engagement to determine first what community members want to preserve in Oceano and what they want to change. And a second, to research and detail the actions or strategies necessary to accomplish those changes or to accomplish that preservation of what exists that people really value. The strategies we develop will range from actions that can be accomplished quickly and inexpensively to actions that are longer term and more expensive, because we like to provide that range so that things can be quickly accomplished, and needs that are more immediate and can be accomplished quickly can be addressed. We look at actions and suggest actions that can be completed by the community as well as local government agencies. We don't assume that change only comes from local government agencies. We know communities are incredibly powerful, and if they have a few resources at their disposal to implement their own change. And I can provide an example of what I mean. I don't know how abstract that seems. Being a planner for a long time, that might seem abstract to most people. So if you are interested in an example, then please ask me at the end of this, and I can provide a very quick example. The framework for the action plan is to create strategies that produce a healthy, equitable, and sustainable community. And what I mean by that is a healthy, equitable community is one that offers social, physical, and mental well-being to all its residents at all stages of life. A sustainable community is one that uses its resources to meet current needs while ensuring that adequate resources are available for future generations. And to some degree, community members will tell us as well what they consider a healthy, equitable, and sustainable community. I want to talk a little bit about the community engagement process because that has come up, and I think it's absolutely crucial to creating a plan that reflects what the majority of the community or members of the community want to see. So the process for this plan will be extensive. It's going to be more extensive than any other effort undertaken for a plan in Oceano. Obviously, the project advisory committee is an important part of reaching out to the community. We will be doing far more than the traditional workshops that you may have experienced before for some of the other efforts. We will be surveying community members, interviewing them, conducting focus groups, and other activities. We will be visiting schools and any other local organizations, speaking to businesses, speaking to residents. And our motto is to reach people where they already are, not ask them to come to us at workshops and meetings. Although we will have some of those obviously too. So to this end, my department, the City and Regional Planning Department, is funding translators to join my students in the field, and OEDC is funding a community liaison, someone who works in the community and has trust in the community to help us reach out. We plan to conduct everything in English and in Spanish, including future meetings, PAC meetings, and we're working on that technology now. We do face many challenges in this effort, and you are all really crucial in terms of helping us with that. Obviously, the pandemic has made community gatherings more challenging. There's an issue of, I've been told, and I certainly understand that there is an issue of trust in the Latino community. There are language barriers, cultural barriers. I do want to let you know that we've consulted with people who work a lot in underserved and Latino communities to get advice about how to conduct our engagement here, including people from this community. And I also want to let you know that, those are the communities that I primarily do planning in. So I have experience doing engagement in places like Delano and Sanger, in Norwalk and Santa Fe Springs, all that have a large Latino population. So I feel ready to do this, and I feel that my students, it will be a tremendous learning experience for them, and as well as hopefully very helpful to the community. The planning process that we'll be going through, besides the engagement, so we spend a lot of our time engagement, but of course we spend our time on other things as well. The students will spend about 6 weeks getting to know the community, both via site visits and by looking at data about the community, previous plans for the community, et cetera, by speaking to you. Eventually you will probably be, and will be, if you're willing to be, interviewed by one of our students to find out what you know and what you think about Oceano. So they'll be doing that. They'll be looking at data, gathering community information, and for several weeks. And then for the remaining weeks, something around probably about 13 weeks, they will be actually developing ideas for the plan, and then they will be bringing those ideas to you as well as to community members. So we don't just go out and ask community members what they want or what they want to preserve or what they want to change and the specifics of that, because we get into the specifics with them. We'll also be going back with any strategies we develop and asking community members what they think of those strategies, what might help those strategies, get accomplished, what's needed for community members and for local government agencies to accomplish those strategies. We'll ask them to prioritize the strategies, because one of the things that's really important to learn when you come up with a plan with, more than 50 strategies in it is, what should we do first? What do you want us to do first? Or what do you want the people who can actually get something done because they have the resources? What do you want them to do first? So that's what the effort looks like. We also have, that will be this fall and then this winter. We also have a spring class that will take up some of those actions and try to further help detail how they might get done. One of the things we'll be doing is looking for funding sources for all of these actions. The students will be responsible to not only suggest things, but to figure out how they might be funded, and looking for grants, et cetera. And then some of those things might be moved further along during the spring studio with the same students. It's a little bit flexible what happens and how many of them will be involved, but usually a great number of the students are really interested in going on and helping figure out more details about how to get the actions accomplished. I think that was all I was going to cover. So it's 7 o'clock now. So, but I'm happy to stay here and answer any additional questions you have, or any thoughts you have.
And we did start 10 minutes late. So
yeah, that's true. We did.
We did start 10 minutes late. Are there any questions for Kelly? I don't see anybody with any questions. I don't have anything. Okay. So we can always come back and next time people can ask questions also. We do have one. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here, you're muted. You're muted.
You're muted.
Again, I don't have any questions. Thank you, Kelly. I just want to summarize that, make sure that
okay, that'd be great.
Completely understand, so she can take this message out to the Latino community and for any Latinos that want to watch, so they understand. Voy a comenzar a hablar en español para hacer un resumen de todo lo que dijo Kelly. Ella es la profesora de el grupo de estudiantes de Cal Poly que van a hacer el estudio, las encuestas aquí en Oceano y los planes de cómo la comunidad quiere que el futuro de Oceano sea. Va a poner muchísimo esfuerzo y es un placer tener una profesora como ella con la educación que tiene ella, y no nomás eso, el hecho de que ella quiere involucrar la comunidad latina lo más posible. Va a hacer muchísimo esfuerzo para hacer eso. Va a mandar estudiantes, fíjense, estudiantes a Oceano, a que toquen las puertas, a entrevistar a las personas, a que llenen la encuesta, porque sabemos que si mandamos nomás cartas o encuestas a las casas, a veces se van a la basura. No, esta profesora va a mandar a sus estudiantes aquí a entrevistar a la comunidad, para que 10% cuando menos de la comunidad dé a saber, y más que los latinos den a saber qué es lo que quieren. Somos más de casi 60% de Oceano, y no nos estemos llorando después de que a nosotros no se nos dio oportunidad de decir qué es lo que queríamos, que necesitamos más viviendas que podíamos comprar de bajos ingresos, o que queríamos este tipo de vivienda, o que queríamos este parque acá. Si no contestan las encuestas y no toman el tiempo con estos estudiantes que van a tocar sus puertas, por favor, comunidad latina, por favor, María, diles a todos los latinos de aquí de Oceano que por favor, cuando les lleguen estos estudiantes, les toquen la puerta, tomen unos 10 minutos solamente con ellos. Ellos van a tomar todas sus precauciones con sus máscaras y todo eso, y den a saber qué es lo que quiere Oceano para el futuro, para que tengamos un pueblo que con más prosperidad, con más trabajo y con más viviendas y más bonito para todos. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. So if we have no other questions, the last item we have future meetings and dates, and let's go through this. We talked about the first Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. if that works for everybody. So the next meeting would be November the 3rd, then December the 1st, no meeting in January. Students will be coming back from holiday and they need some time to work on the plans. Then Wednesday, February the 2nd, and Wednesday, March the 2nd. Does that work for everybody? And all the meetings would be at 6 p.m. Bonnie, did you raise your hand? No?
Works for me.
Okay, all right, if it works for everybody. Okay, I don't see any objections to that. So with that, I'm not sure, Kelly, if you want to, or Nick, you want to talk about the next agenda, what will be on it, what will be brought before the committee?
I'm sorry, this is David Duke. Do we have time for one question on some of the assumptions of the meeting?
Do you mean the ground rules? The ground rules?
No, not the ground rules. I don't believe. You can flash those up for a moment. There's been a lot that is said that a lot of emphasis is going to be based on what the actual citizens of Oceano want, i.e. the people who live in Oceano City. And I understand that, and that seems absolutely reasonable. But by way of analogy, since I'm only about a mile from Oceano, there was a proposal to close the Arroyo Grande Hospital that's in Arroyo Grande City not too long ago because it was losing money. And I think that saying, look, only Arroyo Grande City people, citizens like myself, can make a decision, and the Oceano people don't have much say because they're not technically in the Arroyo Grande City, that would not be fair either. So I was just kind of wondering about that assumption that the priority goes to the Oceano City rather than the people in, within a 10-mile block or within the county in total as a unified, and we talked about unidad, a decision. So I'm just wondering about that assumption and that decision.
Doreen, can I speak to that for OEDC, and perhaps Kelly can speak to that for the perspective of city and regional planning at Cal Poly. David, OEDC shares your point. I think it's the point you're making in connection with regional impact. In fact, one of the things that is a priority for us right now is to bring into our fold on the advisory board and on the council itself representatives from the adjacent communities, for which reason Jeff Lee, who is the mayor of Arroyo Grande, is on the council. I am also in discussions with other local electeds and other community leaders in the South County area. So I just want to assure you that, yes, the primary consideration that we're focused on right now for this engagement really is the people who live in Oceano, but not to the exclusion of the adjoining communities. That is always important. So I hope I've answered your question. If not, come back at me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to comment on that too, because I think I used the phrase community members a lot in speaking. And I want to be clear that we define community members as people who have an interest in this community. And those definitely are people from, adjacent communities. You can't really do a plan for just the people within the boundaries, right? Because that's not how life works. We will track who we're talking to, especially in our surveys. So we will know whether people that are surveying, we won't know who they are, but we'll know whether they live in the city or don't live in the city, what their affiliation is or interest is in the city, so that we'll be able to report back results that are by community member who lives here, community member who works here, community member who plays here, etc. So when I'm using the term, and thank you for asking for clarification about that, community member, I mean it in the widest sense possible.
Okay. Any other questions on that point? Okay. If not, I'm going to go back to the dates. If no one has any objections to these dates, please put them on your calendar. And I wasn't quite sure, real quickly, Nick or Kelly, if you just want to summarize what will be presented at the next meeting.
That's really Kelly's, because Kelly has the students, and it's really their plan.
Well, and it's your plan too, all of your plan, since you're participating. So we'll be back. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to summarize for you a more detailed community engagement plan and get your comments and suggestions. We are going to summarize what we've learned so far, what we think we've learned about Oceano, so that you can help us understand what we've got right and what we may need to correct. And we'll be looking for your comments on both those things. Eventually in the meetings ahead, we'll be bringing ideas to you and results from our engagement. We may even have some results in a month, but just because of some of the challenges related to the pandemic, we may have just very few results in a month. They'll tend to come in fast, and more significantly, the longer we're in this process, as that's pretty typical. Yeah, and so we'll update you on any community engagement we've done and sort of how that's going and any challenges we may be facing. And we'll be looking for any suggestions or ideas from you. Let me ask, first of all, I don't know if you all have my email address. I should probably put that in the chat area, or maybe Nick, you can distribute that to people. But if you have ideas between now and the meeting about people we should contact, or that would be especially helpful to send to me, because we're going to we're already accumulating a list of people that we're interested in interviewing in addition to the committee.
So your email address will be put in the chat then for everybody to receive, Kelly.
I can, yeah, put it in the chat.
Okay.
But also I think Nick will provide it somewhere on the website, or maybe email it to everybody. Let me just provide that to everybody now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
With that, are there any closing remarks before we end the meeting this evening?
I'd just like to thank everyone who attended tonight, and encourage those who will be watching this, the recording itself on YouTube, to please make every effort in the future to engage with us in the Zoom meetings in the future. Your participation is so important for everybody in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for participating this evening, and we'll see you on November 3rd.
If I could stay on and just chat with Nick for a second. And just, I don't mind if anybody stays on and wants to listen, but I had a few issues that I wanted to address, specifically about the website. It seems to make a lot of claims that are not yet research or well developed. For instance, you know, I'm right across the street from Adam, Old Juan's Cantina. So for me, when I originally agreed to participate in this, it was there was more questions that were going to be addressed in the study. And instead, it seems like we're skipping ahead and we're making the claims already. And we're making the claims about, you know, just on the website, for instance, that Oceano would, I can't remember verbatim exactly what it says, but it talks about being a beach, you know, a vehicle-free beach. And obviously, you know, community members don't agree with that. There's also some other things about the airport and the development. And I see like it's very claim heavy to a certain degree. And so for me, I'm hoping, I'm hearing some background themselves.
Yeah.
So moving forward,
there is background.
Yeah, somebody doesn't have their mic muted. Okay, yeah, thank. So moving forward, I was hoping that maybe we could just to make it more inclusive. So community members are not so triggered by just, you know, the claim that is being made on the website. In fact, when I saw the website, Nick, I immediately wanted to email you and be like, oh, take my name off, because you know that's kind of where we're at. And so I'm wondering if there's a way that maybe we can focus on the website to be more question based, since that seems what this study is about.
Sounds like that's a separate discussion. Nick and Kelly, kind of I'm not sure that you know, it just seems like the website is a separate discussion from what we're talking about, unless everybody else wants to talk about it, and then maybe put that on a future agenda. Nick, Kelly, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, Alex, I'd like to talk to you about that offline. I'm really interested in what you have in mind and what you would suggest. And also I can offer some clarification on at least what was intended in putting that information up on the website. It was not meant to be a claim. It is not a claim. And if it comes across that way, I want to make some changes. So if we can get together, I'd love to discuss this with you sometime within the next week or so. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Can I add something too, really quickly? I think you're raising a really important point, Alex, which is if we're meaning to sound inclusive, we have to be very clear, you know, and if there are differences in what OEDC wants to say or not say and what our plan is doing, that's kind of hard for people to distinguish. So I think you're right. I mean, I hope you and Nick have a really productive conversation, and you know, so that we can make sure that the website is and sounds as inclusive as Nick and others have, you know, want the effort to be, the planning effort to be.
Right, and I think too, we'll get more support from VACO, you know, as far as just posing it as questions, because it is a study, and that's, you know, that's the basis of this entire thing. We're studying, we're asking these essential questions. We're not really coming out with any claims, and it seems like the website is full of claims, you know, state facts or presumed facts, and they're not really facts, and you know, and so it is triggering people. People are getting upset because some of that is misinformation, just like your perception of what is happening is way different from my perception of what is happening. So I think we could probably move more to inclusivity, especially with VACO, and have those progressive conversations that need to happen, because if it continues this way, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of involved in email wars going back and forth, you know, and it's not progressive. I think we need to be filtrating those questions to make people's voices want to be heard. That's really, these people want to be heard.
Okay, thank you for that.
Alexandria, this is David Duke. I would just add that I think with any political discourse, if you remove your voice from the discussion, I think the whole discussion will lose out. So don't get upset and leave. Keep your voice in, even if you have an opinion.
Can I add to that, Doreen?
Yes, please do.
First of all, I welcome your interjection of these comments. And I have reached out to VACO representatives because I wanted them to engage with us. I think it's extremely important. We want to bring everybody to the table in this discussion. So inclusivity is really central to coming out with something that all the people in the community, the preponderance of the community aspires for. So I want to thank you, Alex, for bringing this up in the way that you have, for participating tonight, for showing up tonight and saying what you just said. That's really where our heart has been right along in terms of wanting to engage, especially with VACO. So thank you.
Nick, could you explain VACO? There's a question. What's VACO?
VACO is an acronym for Vitality Advisory Council of Oceano. And it was formed back in March, I think originally it was formed in March and announced in April. And it's an alternative, or at least it posits itself as an alternative to the Oceano Advisory Council. And beyond that, I think there's an article that's I can refer you to, or to anybody who would like to see it in the New Times, that really gives you more of the reportage on how it came about and who's involved. So for anybody who'd like to know more, I'd be happy to send you a link to that article.
Great, thank you. Okay. With that, we'll conclude. If there are no other questions or comments, we'll conclude for this evening and look forward to seeing you next month. And the agenda and material will be sent out to everybody.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
all.
Have a good evening.
Robin.
Thank you.
Doreen. Thank you,
Yes.
Kelly.
Special shout out to Robin. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Night, Kelly.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.